Welcome to part 3 of our Clone Wars rewrite. We are currently rewriting the character of Ahsoka Tano, and in this video we'll be focusing on Season 1, Episode 6, Downfall of a Droid, where we'll be setting up some lessons for Ahsoka to learn over the course of this 2-episode arc. Thanks for joining us.
In our argument against Ahsoka, we made the points that Ahsoka refuses to play along with Anakin's ruse, almost blows their cover. Ahsoka is completely oblivious to the danger of the assassin droids, even though they're right behind her. She insists that R2 is not on board, despite the fact that Anakin repeatedly says he can hear R2, so she's completely distrusting him and disrespecting him by ignoring his insistence. Then, when Anakin insists that Goldie is defective, Ahsoka scolds him. Oh, we're gonna have fun! Lots and lots of fun! Trust in your friends, and they'll have reason to trust in you. Oh my goodness, why is it always so pertinent to Ahsoka? Did they do that on purpose and then forget to do the part where it's like she actually learns that lesson? He does not trust Anakin in this episode. I mean, like in any
ever. Yeah. They goofed. They really goofed.
You done goofed.
Mm-hmm.
I advise retreat.
If we run, separatists will take control of this sector. We can't let them do that.
And that is your problem.
Master Kenobi is right. We should regroup. We don't stand a chance against
Ahsoka.
Suicide is not the Jedi way, Master.
I love how she's getting all preachy about this is not the Jedi way. Like, oh yeah, you really know a lot about that, don't you?
Just again, she's piggybacking off of somebody else and using it to talk down to Anakin. Right? It's kind of like, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, Ahsoka. And she would be a much quieter character if she listened to that. So how would you change that? Just not have her say anything?
You should listen to your Padawan.
Yeah.
As you listen to yours, my old master?
Just take away the line.
And yeah, especially Obi-Wan. Like, if you had it where she's like, oh yeah, no, suicide's not the Jedi way, and Obi-Wan's like, hey, don't talk down to your master. The adults are talking. Instead of having Obi-Wan be like, yeah, listen to your Padawan, which is so stupid. But yeah, I think it would be best if you just remove
her lines altogether.
Yeah. I want to see what Anakin's saying.
You should listen to your Padawan.
As you listen to yours, my old master?
Oh, burn! Thank you, Anakin!
See, the thing is that the show is framing that like Anakin's being the bad one here, right? Like, oh, he should be listening to Ahsoka, and, he's just being disrespectful to Obi-Wan. Well, Ahsoka kind of started the whole disrespect thing, and then the writers trash Obi-Wan by having him back her up, and then, yeah, that leaves it to Anakin to make sense and be like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Masters don't bow to their Padawans.
Anakin is just overall
dumped on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't approve of what Filoni did with his character in this show, but he's still a pretty good character.
I mean, like, we know he's not a good character in the sense that he has many flaws and they ultimately lead to his downfall to the dark side. So we're not trying to say that he's like a good person in every respect, but I feel that like he's dumped on a lot more than he should be. And again, obviously he has a strategy right now.
Should we commence firing?
Wait.
I love how they're showing Ahsoka to be like all mature.
Yeah, after she's like, suicide is not the Jedi way, then all of a sudden she's the one like directing everybody. And it's like, what? I thought
They put her in charge, and then they show her being like super mature.
Yeah, and this is after she was like opposed to the idea because of like it's against the Jedi way.
Literally, the last time we saw her open her mouth before this episode, it was to say "excuse me," and now she's super mature in this episode.
Yeah.
Whip. Lash!
don't they have shields? It's like the Republic cruisers have no shields up. They're just getting hit.
They're in position. Unveil our little surprise.
General, we've been out the flank.
Forward cannon, let him have it.
If I recall correctly, Anakin's plan was that, like, because Grievous's ships would be facing them head on, then they would put all their shields to the front, right? And that's why the flank maneuver works. So that makes sense that they weren't rear shielded. But then when they start firing at them from the front and it immediately is like, oh, boom, we're done. It's like, does nobody have any shields up at all? What is going on here?
Let's finish this.
I love how, you know, like, her cut, let's finish this. Like, it's just dripping with spite, which is also against the Jedi way, but I guess she forgot that.
You owe Rexter your skin, Sky Guy. Grievous is AWOL, but his fleet of tinnies is nothing but spare parts.
Where's
She
R2?
takes way too much pleasure in that statement. I mean, like, I understand that they're just droids, and then that's kind of a good way of preventing your characters from having to deal with these moral repercussions in war. But she just takes too much pleasure in it.
Yeah, imagine if they weren't droids. And she said exactly that. Then it really puts in perspective her just, like, complete heartlessness. And again, they are just droids in this case. So you could just brush it off and be like, oh, well, you know, if they were people, she wouldn't be saying that. But I think she would. I honestly think she would, because she's very...
The show literally shows us that. She's completely heartless toward people as well. Her comments to Letta, her literally attacking the guy who stole her lightsaber.
Yeah, not to mention that, like, in Storm over Ryloth, when she is responsible for the death of thousands of clones who are people, then her concern is not there at all. It's just in, like, oh, I messed up, or me.
Exactly. And her complete lack of care towards the clones in Season 7, when she releases Maul.
She is responsible for the deaths of thousands and thousands of clones. Well, technically it's the Republic, but the Republic as a whole is responsible for every clone life lost. But her personally, she is probably responsible for more clone deaths than, like, any other single Jedi or whatever.
I think her kill count even rivals that of General Krell.
Probably.
And he was... Actually, there's no difference between them. The only difference is that she gives these self-righteous speeches about how I don't want to hurt the clones. I just released a very powerful Sith on them, that's all. I don't want to hurt them.
We're going to crash into a planet, killing literally everybody. But it's not my fault. But even, yeah, just her tone when Anakin wakes up, like, she's always condescending toward Anakin. Oh, you've got Rex to thank for your skin, Sky Guy. And
at least she didn't try to take the credit for that one.
There you go.
Actually, it was me. Me.
Like, if he had woken up and she was showing concern, like, you know, are you okay? Rex just barely got you out of there, or, you know, like, something like that, right? Like, just, there's many other things she could say. And I think, yeah, the biggest thing is her tone and what she's saying. Because even if she had just said the exact same thing, well, minus the stupid pet name, right? If she's like, oh, you've got Rex to thank for, you know, picking you up, right? But if you just change the tone, then it's kind of like, wow, I'm grateful that he got you. I was worried about you. Instead of this, like, oh, kind of tone. And it's like, what is going on here? Why is she always like this toward Anakin?
Where's R2?
I'm sorry, Master. He's gone.
At least she was sensitive in that
Your
sense.
resourcefulness
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find a suitable replacement.
There, track him down.
Whoa.
It's only a droid.
Did she just arch her eyebrow at him?
I'm sure you'll find a suitable replacement.
Take a
She
swat out.
did!
Oh,
Down.
she
She
did.
did!
She did.
What the heck?
Again, it's this immediate back and forth. 20 seconds ago, she's like, "I'm sorry, Master, he's gone." Like she knows how much R2 means to him, and she's being really sensitive. And then the very next scene, 20 seconds later, he's angry that Obi-Wan's saying, "Oh, they're a dime a dozen," and she raises her eyebrow like, "What's your deal? Why are you getting so up in arms about this?" It's like, what is going on? Why are they like ping, 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 ping with her character? There's no consistency, not even 20 seconds of consistency.
Wow. Just wow. I literally have no words.
But like, it also surprises me that Obi-Wan's just kind of like, "Oh, they're a dime a dozen."
I mean, like, I could understand where he's coming from. He's trying to be rational.
Like, but I'm trying to remember what episode it was that they were like, "Oh, we have to go rescue C-3PO." Like, was that before this episode? I thought it was. And like, Obi-Wan was the one who's like, "I'll go get him." And it's also like, keeping in mind the prequels, like Obi-Wan was there when they first got R2.
I think the reason they wanted to go after C-3PO is because as Padme's droid, he had sensitive intel.
Right, and Obi-Wan is operating under the understanding right now that R2 is completely wiped.
What possessed you not to erase that droid's memory?
Master Obi-Wan, sometimes R2 having that extra information has come in handy.
I feel like that line accentuates just how much of an unnecessary character is, because we have not been shown that information in the show at all. And again, we're operating off the assumption that she hasn't been with Anakin very long, since it's literally just the beginning of the show. So it would have made more sense for Anakin to say something like that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That's kind of a good indicator of whether you have a character that can be cut, is if you're giving them lines that belong to another character, because you just need them to have something to say so they're not just standing there.
Like, I mean, I appreciate that Ahsoka kind of tried to come to the rescue there, but it really just accentuates how much of an unnecessary character she is.
What would you ever say? Like, I would definitely give that line to Anakin, but then if you wanted to have Ahsoka say something, what would you have her say? Or would you just not have her say anything?
Probably not have her say anything. She's gonna be very quiet during this episode.
Again, that's the problem with her character, is that we're trying to fix her by changing her lines and talking about how they could have changed her animation, which of course then is her body language and such. But ultimately, we're just taking away a lot of lines and finding that, yeah, she's kind of an unnecessary character.
She really has no substance.
There's not much that you can give her back except more unnecessary lines. What is her purpose in the show? Because Anakin doesn't learn anything from her that he can't learn from somebody else, learn better from somebody else, makes more sense for him to learn from somebody else, or that he kind of figures out on his own without her help, because she's not really that big a help in any of the lessons that he's supposed to learn. And she doesn't learn anything herself, right? So it's not even like her role is there to show the growth of a young Padawan, because yeah, she doesn't learn anything. So what is the point of Ahsoka?
Well, we agreed that we didn't want to drastically change any of the characters, right?
Yes.
So I would kind of be hesitant in trying to give the character a goal, because that could potentially drastically change her.
This kind of leaves us with our hands tied.
Maybe we shouldn't have put that limit on ourselves.
Yeah, but then we'd end up just like completely changing her. And that's just way too easy. It has to be challenging.
There you go. We are challenging ourselves.
Yeah, because I mean, I have a 14-year-old female character in the story I'm writing. And yeah, to be completely honest, there's sometimes that I'm trying to give her lines because I'm like, she doesn't really have a place in this scene. And so I'm trying to keep her relevant. And so I've had to do a lot of rewriting several times to kind of revisit this idea. Okay, why did I have her here? Well, this was the reason for her character. And I need to keep recalling that, not like beating a dead horse, but I need to continue having that foil, having her perspective and her like life experiences affect the group. Like that when she speaks up, it's not just to fill space, it's actually contributing. And sometimes I'm successful and sometimes it's a little weaker than others, but sometimes I just have to like kind of push through those scenes to get to the next scene where she can be like more active again. Yeah, no, it can be hard to write in a character like this, but that's why I'm saying, you know, I don't know what Ahsoka's role is. Ahsoka has no development. We kind of talked about the difference between character development and character growth when we were not recording. So what we kind of realized was that the only character development that Ahsoka gets is you learn that Plo Koon was the one who found her and brought her to the Jedi Temple when she was young, and she's Togrutan.
Yeah.
That's literally all the development that Ahsoka gets. You don't learn anything else about what her upbringing was like that makes her so different from other Padawans. And so you can't really think to yourself, okay, well, what would Ahsoka say in this situation, you know, based on her perspective being, you know, such and such in the past, or having spent time with so-and-so, or, you know, having experienced this and that, right? Like, you don't have any of that to build on. Brandon Sanderson, he does a really good talk on characters, and he's saying that that should be one of the #1 ways to tell characters apart, rather than like, oh, Ahsoka said this, Anakin said, and Obi-Wan responded, like those dialogue tags in writing. He's like, you should be able to, for the most part, remove those and still have people know who is who, simply based on the way that they're talking and like what metaphors they use and their perspective they're bringing to the table and things like that. It's a really, really interesting talk. I'll send Alibi the link so that she can post it in the description of this video. It's a really good talk. Yeah, since we don't have those tools, it's like, okay, how do we decide what to have Ahsoka say?
Well, honestly, like, she's just such an empty character. They don't even really try to do anything with her until, like, I was gonna say season 5, where they try to create like this whole new perspective by having her like jaded by the Jedi or whatever, which was total BS. But
Yeah.
I guess like maybe some earlier arcs, like what was it, Friends on Both Sides or something like that?
Oh yeah, the one where they go to meet Bonter.
Yeah, Mina Bonteri. But she didn't get very much characterization in that episode either, except for the closing line where she was like, I learned that this war is not so black and white, which is a good line, but you did not show us her actually learning that throughout the episode. You just showed
And
her
then you don't show her having learned that. Right?
in
That's
later episodes, yeah.
problem, is that she has no development, but then she also has no growth. So it's not even like she's building development as she goes. We're never shown her learning lessons. She has a throwaway line that she's learned lessons, but she doesn't actually show it ever. I don't know what to do. It's the whole point of this very long rant. I guess we'll just continue and cry.
Yep, continue and cry.
Sounds good. This is where we meet
Cody.
I've heard that the new R3s are far faster in thinking skills and more powerful than the old R2 units.
Okay, so right here, she's being incredibly insensitive.
Yes,
Because
incredibly insensitive.
this droid is so much better than your old one that you care very deeply about and view as a friend.
Yeah, and it's also like, okay, what's the point? Like, you have to go rescue R2 anyways. It's not like you're trying to, like, what are you suggesting? That you go get R2 and then you just ditch him for this R3? Like, what is the point of her hyping up this R3?
I feel like she's almost trying to make him feel better, but she's really not. She's just being super insensitive.
It's really not necessary. You could just be like, okay, this is the droid we're taking with us until we get R2 back. She's making it sound like, oh, this droid is so much better than R2. You should replace R2 with this guy. It's like, what? Like maybe she's trying to, reassure him that even though this isn't R2, he'll do a good job until we get R2 back. But she doesn't ever say until we get R2 back.
And best of all, Master, he's gold. A gold droid for gold leader of Gold Squadron.
You can't replace R2.
Don't worry, Goldie. You'll get to know him.
And that look right there, yeah, she takes it personally. Like, you didn't like this droid? Well, I'm mad at you.
Yeah, and then she reassures the droid.
Yeah, instead of Anakin, who is very obviously hurting.
Well, and the fact that his response is, you can't replace R2, shows that it's not just in our heads that it sounds like she's suggesting replacing R2. Even he picks up on, this kind of sounds like you're suggesting replacing R2. And like, yeah, she doesn't even say, well, that I wasn't suggesting replacing R2. She says, oh, it's okay, Goldie. You'll get to know him better. What? So, okay, how would you have Ahsoka introduce R3 in a way that is still her kind of like, oh, I'm trying to cheer up my master. I'm just like a kid trying to cheer up this adults because they seem pretty down with this like fancy new droid.
I would take away the part where she blatantly says better than the old R2 units. I would still have her like hype up R3 and the whole like, oh, gold droid for gold leader of gold.
I'd probably have her open with that and then have her like when Anakin doesn't respond like, oh wow, that's so great, that she kind of continues to try to hype up the droid by saying, oh, it's faster, and it's like, like what you said.
And then like, we after he says you can't replace R2, then give her the line you suggested. Is like, oh wait, I wasn't suggesting that. That's not what I was saying. And then don't have her consoling the droid.
The historical texts say
Archive text can only teach you a part of the picture, my young Padawan. You'll learn a lot more through some hands-on experience.
What was that look?
Well, I'm more curious what she was going to say.
He's trying to teach her again, and she's like, ugh.
She doesn't want to be taught.
Pookums here really has her heart set on another R2. She lost the last one.
Pookums. Oh, brother.
Okay, first of all, take away that line. Maybe give her some very subtle facial expressions that kind of indicate like, I don't really like this, but I'll play along. Yeah,
or if you were gonna have it, you could have it like before they go up, or like before the cameras come out or something. Be like, just kind of have Anakin be like, "You ready for this, Pookums?" And then she can be like, "Pookums? Oh, brother." But then when he says it again in front of this guy, then she doesn't react. She just kind of smiles like, "Yes, that's me. I'm Pookums." Yeah. So still have her kind of roll her eyes at this, ridiculous pet name, but it's not right in front of the guy that you're trying to fool.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That sounded like R2.
How can you tell the difference?
Here.
I think I'd rather have her say something like, oh, really? Just something short like that.
Yeah, because it's like, he's like, oh, did you hear that? And she's like, hear what? And then he's like, I heard her too. And she's like, how can you tell the difference? Tell the difference between what? You didn't hear anything. So if he's like, oh, did you hear that? And she's like, oh, it was just R3. And he's like, no, that was R2. Then it would make sense for her to be like, well, how can you tell the difference? Because before I had a kid and moms would be like, oh, that's my child crying. And you hear like 6 children crying. I'd be like, how can they tell the difference? But I kind of understand now. You do learn your child's voice, and you can recognize it. And there's just some sort of mommy radar that's like, wait, my child is crying all of a sudden, whereas they weren't before. And so I can kind of understand the asking, how can you tell the difference? But she'd have to acknowledge that she heard something. If I didn't hear anybody crying, and she's like, oh, my child is crying, I wouldn't ask, how can you tell the difference? I'd ask, I didn't hear anything. What are you talking about? So I think you could do it either way. If you have her not hear it, then we go with what you said, where it's just like, oh, really? Like, I didn't hear anything. But if she hears it, then she attributes it to R3. And then when he's like, no, it's R2, then she's like, what's the difference? Yeah.
Okay, honestly, she'd have to be blind and deaf. So, like, don't wait until the droid grabs her to say, Master! Like, as she's kind of turning her head.
And then say, Master. And then they grab her.
I wouldn't even have them grab her. I would just have them try to grab her, but then, like, she dodges and goes for her lightsaber, maybe.
Gotcha, piston head.
Is she trying to be Spider-Man with those comments?
I guess.
You're right about the hands-on experience, Gramps.
You're right about the hands-on experience, Gramps.
Okay, she absolutely does not call him Gramps.
WTF?
That definitely
What happened to Sky Guy?
Yeah, no. Like, that's
Why is
the
he
only
all
time
of a sudden, like,
Gramps.
75 years old and she's called
Yumps. Nope, that needs to go.
Well, and also this whole, like, he suddenly is just like, oh, I think I left the kettle on at home, not paying any attention to the assassin droid that's standing right behind him, and she has to save him. Like, he was just standing there. He wasn't fighting off some other droid. He was just standing there.
I'm sure he did his best.
His best to get us killed?
Don't have Ahsoka defend the droid. Because if that's his best, that's a problem. She's typing up how smart these droids are and how fast they are, and then this is the droid's best. She shouldn't be like, oh, but he was trying. Give him a chance. It should be like, holy moly, I guess we got a dud. You can still kind of hold on to her, like, oh, droids have feelings ridiculousness.
No, not really, because she obviously doesn't care about R2 or any other droids going forward.
It's weird, because, like, the show does definitely have that element of droids have feelings. They do show that. I mean, like, pretty much throughout Star Wars, you kind of get this feeling of droids are more sentient than we give them credit for. And so, yeah, you can't have it both ways. That on the one hand, she's like, oh, poor Goldie. And on the other hand, oh, R2's just a droid. Because she literally does that. It doesn't make sense.
But then, like, how do we go forward? Because we'd have to completely derail this arc. Because if she agrees with Anakin, and they're both like, okay, let's send him back, get another one.
I had an idea about that. Because, yeah, they kind of go back and they have the opportunity to get a different droid instead. And I think if you just removed that opportunity, so they both kind of agree, okay, we need a different droid, but then they go back, or, you know, they can't go back or something. Basically, it's like they do not have the opportunity to switch out droids. This is the only one available at the station where they are, which might be a little bit of a stretch, so I don't know how much problem people would have with that excuse. So, I mean, that's an easy enough fix, that they want to replace him, but they're stuck with him. Because they never explain who sent them the droid, right? But obviously the droid is a plant. So if whoever sent the droid also made sure that if they tried to replace it, that, oh, suddenly we don't have any replacements. Like, that'd be easy enough.
Where's my droid?
Master, what are you doing? R2's not here.
Okay, get rid of that line. Maybe have her kind of like come up and be like, yo, he's not a threat. No need to use your lightsaber on him. But even then, she's being like...
condescending again.
Yeah, condescending.
And it's, again, this is totally contrary to her usual attitude, where it's, you know, lightsabers out first, ask questions later. Suddenly she's all like, oh no, you don't have to be hostile toward this person. You know, just ask nicely. And it's like, okay, this isn't Ahsoka. Where did Ahsoka go?
Exactly.
So if anything, I would have, like, if we're going for keeping her closer to what she's supposed to be than the writers actually know, I would probably have her kind of back Anakin up and be like, yeah, Mudface, where's R2? Or you could have it that she honestly believes that R2's not around, and she's just like, I don't know, it's hard to say because, like, yeah, she's supposed to be learning to trust her master, because, like, what we've been writing down is the lessons she's learned from the previous 2 episodes. I would say that trusting Anakin isn't actually one of the lessons yet. So maybe this is the arc where she learns that.
I can definitely see that. Because, like, when was the first instance where she's all like, oh, I trust Anakin? Because really I can only think of the Mortis episode where she's like, I trust him with my life, which is a total lie.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to when she first actually says, I trust him. But yeah, it definitely hasn't been in the past 2 episodes. So we could probably keep it where she's like, instead of saying R2's not here, which is like an absolute statement, you could, I don't think R2's here. So she's doubting his senses and whatever. But she's not being like, oh, I'm 100% positive that you are wrong.
Yeah, so just kind of have her come up and be like, Master, I don't think R2's here.
Our intelligence has confirmed that Grievous's spies have been intercepting our transmissions.
He must have some sort of secret listening post out there somewhere.
Find that base and destroy it.
It's as good as done, Master Kenobi.
Okay, why is she getting lines that should not be going to her? Oh, he must have a listening outpost. Consider it done, Master Obi-Wan. What? Like, on the one hand, I kind of understand, because, like, Anakin's just kind of feeling down right now, so he's not the most talkative, but, like, her talking as if she's the one this conversation is being held with. I don't know, it just bothers me. Like, if you had Anakin be like, yeah, we'll go do that, and then she's like, consider it done, right? Because she's not paying any attention to how Anakin is feeling. Right? See, that's the problem, right? It's like, okay, do you have her be like the peppy child, or do you have her be a little more sensitive?
I think I'd rather have her be more sensitive in this case.
I mean, that is, yeah, asking for maturity, but, like, I think by 14 years old, you can expect that kind of maturity. Yeah, it just bothered me that they're just giving her lines because they don't want her to have her standing there. It's like, she doesn't even need to be in that scene. Just Obi-Wan giving Anakin more orders. Why does Ahsoka have to be there? Why does she have to be talking? Nothing makes sense anymore.
You'll need a droid to help you navigate.
I think Stubby is defective.
Give him another chance, Master. This is the perfect time. This is the perfect time for you and him to, you know, bond.
Bond.
Again, it's like she's trying to replace R2. Why does he need to bond with a temporary droid?
So if we're going to go with the option that they both agree that Stubby is defective, and we want to go with that someone is kind of making sure that they don't replace him. So maybe instead of Ahsoka saying, you'll need a droid first thing, then she'll be like, I went and saw if we could get him replaced, and they said there were none others available, but you will be needing a droid.
Yeah, something along those lines. You could flip the order of the sentences around, but essentially that, yeah, like, doesn't have to be anything long and convoluted. You don't even have to insert a scene that shows her trying to get him replaced. You just have to have her say, you know, sorry, you're gonna need a droid and we're stuck with this one.
Skywalker's tracking beacon. What's he doing? Rex, get a hold of as many men as you can.
Maybe instead of having her ask, what's he doing, maybe have her ask, what's happening? Instead of immediately placing the blame on him. But then again, I could also see, like, because Skywalker is known for his reckless plans, that she could kind of be like, oh, what's he
Maybe
doing
he's
this
trying
time?
to draw attention to himself to set something up. You could have that, or you could just have her be like, why is his beacon going off? Right? So instead of being like, what's happening? Which makes it sound like she doesn't understand what the screen is saying. You could have her, like, show, like, she knows what's going on the screen, but she doesn't understand why it's going on.
Are they in contact with Anakin?
I don't know.
Because probably the best course of action for her would be for her to try to contact Anakin first, instead of saying, Rex, we need to go help him pronto, before she's even figured out what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
You better get inside.
Should we fix her "you better get inside" line?
It doesn't bother me too much. If you're fixing other lines, and especially the tone, then certain lines like that in that context are perfectly fine. Because again, there's this kind of understanding already. It's already been established that Ahsoka does respect Anakin, and so this would not come off as her ordering him around or being condescending. It would just be like, come on, let's go, kind of thing, right? Like,
Power it up, Rex. We're going right between those tin cans. Hit it, Rex.
Hit it, Rex.
What's with the wink? Okay, remove the wink.
well, I mean, like, I think I would fix her entire attitude because, like, she's acting like everything is fine, that this was according to plan. No, something just went horribly wrong. Anakin went there to go do something. He could not do it, and you are going there to save his life. This isn't some fun, stop by and pick up the master assignment. This is a colossal failure that is occurring, and his life is in danger.
She has a lot of moments like that, especially in the Mortis arc. Even Anakin and Obi-Wan were guilty of that in the Mortis arc. Like, they were just way too chill.
Yeah, but like she's almost like happy-go-lucky. Like, oh, I wanted to go on this and I got to go. Her attitude is completely off for what the situation is. And yeah, when they first arrived, it seemed to be like, yeah, we're here, like, okay, this is a serious situation, get on board, let's go. But then as soon as he was on board, she's like, okay, we're good. We're gonna go right through there. Oh yeah, good job, wink. It's like, what just happened? I don't understand humanity.
They got away, sir.
Forgot about that.
I love the droids.
Except that one.
Hey, Goldie. What did you think of your first adventure?
I'll tell you what I think.
Adventure? Adventure. Again, what is the situation here? Anakin went to go do something, and it went colossally wrong. I feel like your first adventure. And it's also like, is this like a brand new droid straight off the assembly line? Wouldn't he have had adventures before? Like, why is she talking to him like he's brand new to the war? He doesn't look brand new. He's kind of beat up and stuff like that. So what is this?
I think I'm lucky to be alive.
Great! Now you hurt his feelings.
His feelings? What about R2?
I wouldn't have her ask Goldie, oh, how is your first adventure? Anything like, don't even have her talk to Goldie at all.
Yeah, don't even have her talk to Goldie. Ask Anakin, so what went wrong? And then he's like, well, I'm lucky to be alive. That droid nearly got us killed. Because again, he talks about R2, and instead of her being sensitive and being like, I'm sorry, like, she's all worried about Goldie's feelings, but she doesn't give 2 cents about what R2 is potentially going through or went through or whatever, right?
And she doesn't care that Goldie almost got Anakin killed.
And that too. She does not give a rat's behind that her master nearly just lost his life. Her attitude is just, oh, whatever, everything's fine. No, he nearly died. Maybe show a little bit of like concern. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing.
So,
oh, you hurt the droid's feelings. Excuse me? Like, and yeah, Anakin doesn't even say like his feelings. What about my life? No, he turns it to R2 instead, and not like. Sometimes I'm like, okay, that's fine, and other times I'm like, why did the writers have him directed to R2? I mean. He nearly died.
So just have her ask what happened.
Yeah,
and then he does his spiel.
And then just have the droid exit, and Anakin goes and stares out the window or something. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so that was season 1, episode 6. Downfall of a Droid. Finally got to do some talking about like setups and things like that, and how to make ridiculous things like keeping something that's not working and nearly getting you killed. Keeping it around, even though that doesn't make sense. Because there are ways to do it, right? You can have something that doesn't make sense if your setup is done correctly. But rather than just making changes to the setup so that your characters aren't being stupid, it's a much better way of handling. You can still have things that don't make sense, but it's not because your characters are being stupid. It's because you've tweaked the setup so that your characters are just doing the best with the situation that they have. Yeah, it's fun to kind of get to talk about things like that and watch Grievous punch a droid's head off. Oh, I love the droids.
We'll be doing Season 1, Episode 7, Duel of the Droids next, so be sure to join us for that. Remember to comment below with your thoughts, leave us a like, subscribe if you're interested in catching our future content, share this video around with your friends, and also please consider becoming a patron because that would mean so much to us.
And in the next episode, well, we'll have to find a way to kind of introduce that lesson for Ahsoka of learning to trust Anakin more.
And I think we're also going to get to kind of play around with how to do the betrayal reveal and stuff like that, and how to have Ahsoka go up against Grievous and not have it be ridiculous that she does as well as she does.
Okay, so we will see you all next time.
We kind of started setting up Ahsoka learning to trust Anastasia.
There is a new character now called Anastasia.
Yeah, we decided to gender swap Anakin.
There you go.
Hey, Anastasia would make a great gender swap name for him.
I can kind of see it.
It would work. It would
There
work.
you go. There you go. That's what we're going with. Anakin
Okay.
is now gender swapped. Deal with it.
Moving forward, Anakin's gonna be a girl. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, we started setting up the lesson of her trusting Anakin's instincts more, as well as being open to the lessons that Anakin kind of tries to teach her, like thinking outside the box and other things. Yeah, I shouldn't have tried to list things. I just thought of one thing and I was like, I'll make it a list. It's not a list.
A list of one.
Got through that.
So good.
You're so pretty.
Bye-bye.
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 How many bye-byes are we gonna have?